Hi, I'm Sterling Perrin with Omdia at OFC 2026, and I'm joined by my colleague, Jaimie Lenderman, also with Omdia.
Hi, Sterling. How are you?
Hey, so we're kind of in the, not quite the post-mortem, but getting there towards the end of the show, maybe a little past midway. I've been here all week. Some of the themes that I'm hearing are, well, it's AI, right? It's
Right.
scale up, scale out, and scale across. That's certainly been the highlight of what I've seen happening. Yeah, what do you?
Yeah, I would agree. I was at MWC a few weeks ago, or a couple weeks ago now, and I would say the big theme so far, the thread is AI. On my side of things, really talking about broadband, I did a panel where I was with some other fantastic panelists talking about how to get more money out of fixed and mobile networks. I really think the conversation of the AI pie came in through that. Still to do today is a panel on TWDM PON. But what's really interesting is hearing the ITU's roadmap for 2030 has been really interesting. Kind of what they did for 5G, they want to do for fixed networks, and really how optical plays a role there.
Yeah. For me, so I was at the executive forum, the Optical executive forum on Monday, and it was definitely AI focused, very hyperscaler focused, a little bit on scale out, which is the data center interconnect part, but a very big concentration on within the data center. I think that's going to be the highlight of this show, the optics within the data center, considering all the options, CPO, NPO, linear pluggable, and different architectures to scale those things up to just kind of absurd capacities. But there's also a connectivity between them, so that's what I've been focused on a lot. One of the observations I made at the executive forum is that there were no telcos, CSPs, telecom operators on the stage, but also in the audience. I don't really think there were any, and I started to wonder if they're becoming irrelevant. The discussions I've had on the show floor have given me a little bit more comfort. There's still a lot of applications for wide area and things going on to kind of improve networks for telecom. But I am curious, like in your panels and on broadband, which is a very telecom carrier focused, kind of what the mood was, and are they feeling relevant, irrelevant, or?
I think the biggest thing that came out of the panel I watched yesterday about standards is right now it seems that AI is a land grab. There's really no standards. There's a few vendors that are going to do what they're going to do. And telecoms is a very regulated, standards-based industry, and that eventually it will need to move towards that too, is probably the biggest takeaway that I got out of it.
Yeah, I mean, it is. The requirements are diverging. Like if you just think of the capacities and where things are being driven, even in the wide area from the hyperscaler standpoint, there's this concept of multi-rail line systems, which is taking, depending on which vendor announced it, and several of them did, Cisco, Ciena, and Nokia, 128 fibers in a line system, fiber pairs that are able to be provisioned as one go. You just provision a fiber at a time instead of wavelengths. And to me, it's like, well, that's something that seems kind of crazy from a telco standpoint. But then talking to the vendors, they're like, there are innovations that start in the hyperscalers, which are driving them, and technologies can filter down into telco. So the ability to really miniaturize and save massive amounts of power, and just kind of piggyback on volume to get lower costs. Those are all things that, from a telco, they would ultimately benefit from, and to some degree they are. The pluggables themselves is another interesting one. The data rates of pluggables are going up to 1.6T, and then really a lot of talk here, 1.6T announcements, and then a lot of talk about roadmaps to 3.2T. Telecom, forget it. But the whole pluggables revolution, driven by the hyperscalers, is really filtered in a huge way to the telecom market. I think they're embracing, and the market is moving not entirely to pluggables versus embedded, but most of the market is kind of accepted pluggables where you can, embedded where you must, to kind of use that phrase. A couple of years ago, it was really the opposite. It was embedded. So you're starting to see those innovations filter down, but it's a flip of what the market looked like a couple of years ago. So.
And I think the one thing I'd add to that is you're seeing telcos, they still have their base customers that they need to serve with lower,
well, this is it.
lower
Yeah.
level, but they also want to play in this hyperscaler space.
How do they do both?
How do
Yeah.
they do both and
Yeah.
be cost efficient at the same time?
One comment that was made to me, and you're the expert on this, so kind of pick your brain, but somebody was saying, to be relevant in AI, that the telecom operators need to actually revamp their entire access networks to hit the latency. It's the first time I'd heard that, but then I just started thinking, is the access network to be relevant for AI, does it need not just a refresh, but a reboot? I don't know if that's...
It's interesting because I think when, you think of the access network, in my particular area, you immediately think consumer, but I think you're seeing a lot more in the access network being able to branch out into other applications. And I think that's really where the AI use is going to come from. We've been having this conversation throughout the industry of, is there really going to be consumer trends that are going to eat up bandwidth? We've been asking for years. We had a little bit of an uptick during COVID, upstream became more relevant, but I really feel it remains to be seen that there's a killer app in AI that's really gonna cause consumption to just go through the roof. Right.
It's, one of the things in Jensen's Huang, I get kind of, because GTC was this week as well, and he's kind of moved the discussion from training for AI, which has been, the past year plus, to inferencing, and we're always, when is inferencing going to come? And he's sort of heralding, I think at this point, that maybe we're in, kind of moving into at least that ball game. I don't know what inning we're in, but that has a lot of implications for the network as you move to inferencing, because, training, that's hyperscale domain, but inferencing, whether it's consumer or enterprise, so there's the when, and then when you address the when, then what are the impacts? I don't think, from my discussions, I don't think that's been well, it hasn't been discussed much and really well defined. Like, what's the impact on the network of inferencing? I don't know if
well, and at the same time, telcos don't want to be left behind. They don't want to wait and then be not able to keep up with those demands. And so they're in between trying to make those investments to be ready, but also trying to find what's their return on investment horizon look like.
Yeah, one thing is interesting, and you were at MWC, but I was worried about the geopolitical discussion, how things would be impacted here. It seems like it was, at least in my discussions, it was non-existent. No. I don't know for you. What about MWC?
MWC had a very big conversation about European sovereignty. I mean, that kind of was, if I had to pick two or three main things, it definitely, besides AI data center, it would be the sovereignty issue. I have not really seen that here.
No, AI data center, sovereignty sort of did not, but it's super relevant. So I mean, it's a global industry. Yeah. So what's next for you?
I am going to Fiber Connect in May.
Okay.
How
Orlando.
about in Orlando?
I may.
Yeah. So Orlando in May is pretty decent time of year, I think.
Yeah, and then I'll probably try to hit something in the fall, because to that point, it's just the market-wise, I think it's just becoming, the country and the geopolitical is much more than the technology is starting to have an impact on how things will be built, and I don't think you really get much of that here. So and Europe's nice. So
and
why not go to Europe? So, all right. Cool. So probably see you on the road.
Yep. See you on the road.
Great
catching up with you.
Yeah. Same.